Hello everybody, it is my 5th day running now of daily MMA content. We've got a little bit of boxing news to bring in for you all as Francis Ngannou is set to take on Anthony Joshua March the 9th, 2024 this year. I keep forgetting 2024 is even now. I can't believe it. It's 2024. 2014 was 10 years ago. What on earth is going on? What on earth is going on? Time flies. But anyway, I digress. We have Francis Ngannou taking on Anthony Joshua in a boxing fight. And again, another massive win for Francis and another massive loss for Dana. Dana White could be co-promoting with Francis right now, like he did with Conor McGregor, which I think would have been a massive opportunity for the UFC, just to kind of show maybe they're superior. Because Ngannou is one of the few MMA fighters that has successfully, in fact, the only MMA fighter that has somewhat successfully transferred over to boxing. Of course, we had Conor versus Floyd, but Floyd really didn't try against Conor. You know, he just bided his time, walked him down, completely squared up, and absolutely battered Conor. No disrespect to Conor, but Ngannou went in there against Tyson Fury and arguably won the fight to a lot of people. Now, in my opinion, I had it a draw, but that is still massively embarrassing for the sport of boxing and for Tyson Fury. And as you all know, I have great respect for boxing. It is the very first martial art I ever trained, the very first thing I tried, and as an individual martial art, it's definitely my favourite. A lot of time for boxing, a lot of respect for it. I'm not going to crap on it like a lot of people do, like a lot of MMA fans do. But Ngannou has a chance again to not embarrass the sport of boxing, but to kind of make another elite boxer look bad, and that is Anthony Joshua this time. But there's a couple of key things I want to present to you all from my biblical knowledge of fighting, some might say. Certainly only me, probably nobody else. But I want to present forward to you the fact that the surprise factor's gone. It's gone. What did we know about Ngannou when he fought Tyson Fury? Well, we didn't know that he was going to be able to very successfully use his clinch work, his MMA work, to frame off Tyson Fury, whose style is very, very reliant on clinching up, on tying you up, wearing your arms down, hitting you, hitting you in the back of the head, pushing his glove into your face to suffocate you. He couldn't do that against Ngannou. Ngannou, at one stage of the fight, cut Tyson Fury because he framed off of him and uppercutted him. And I don't know if most referees would let Tyson Fury get away with that. Or Ngannou get away with that, sorry, in most of the fights. And for me, this is going to be one of the key factors. I think Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's team, will find a referee that will not be so lenient when it comes to inside work for this fight. That's one of my theories going in there. I think if Ngannou clinches up with Joshua, roughs him round a bit, moves him round a bit, hammer fists him a bit, frames off him a bit so he can land a few short uppercuts, I think this referee, whoever it may be, won't let this slide in this fight. Now, some more technical aspects, as we all know, Anthony Joshua is the better boxer, right? The far better boxer than Ngannou. Ngannou has one-punch knockout power, and we all know Anthony Joshua can be hurt. He's been rocked, he's been dropped, he's been stopped in previous fights with Andy Ruiz. Usyk rocked him, Dillian White rocked him. You know, he's been rocked multiple times. Vladimir Klitschko dropped him. You know, he's a very good fighter, though. Anthony Joshua is very underrated, and he's finally starting to get his respect after his Otto Wallin performance, where the old Anthony Joshua came back. Because for years, I always said Anthony Joshua was conventionalised. And you should never conventionalise a destroyer. Ben Davison is a coach for me that allows creativity, that allows fighters to express themselves. And I think Anthony Joshua is expressing himself again. And that's because he's a batterer. He walks you down. He fudds his jab. He beats you up. You know, he can box on the back foot. He's shown versatility. But Anthony Joshua is doing his best work when he is a boxer puncher, because he has exceptional one-punch knockout power, and that is something Francis Ngannou has never faced before. He's actually not fought a one-punch knockout artist except Derek Lewis, and that fight was a complete bore fest. Does anybody even remember how that fight went down? I certainly don't. Then, the surprise factor is gone. Francis Ngannou's surprise factor is gone. One-punch knockout power, great in the clinch, using his MMA to frame off Anthony Joshua. He could bully Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is a very strong man. And if they're getting up and tying up in the clinch, Ngannou being stronger than Joshua, able to wear Joshua's big muscles down, Joshua might fade. He might gas out. And then Ngannou might finish Joshua later. Again, Joshua's been hurt before. But the key difference in this fight, in my opinion, will be Ngannou's lack of a jab to keep Anthony Joshua off him. Anthony Joshua won't respect Ngannou's counter hooks, check right hands, check uppercuts. He won't respect those because Anthony Joshua has great straight punches. And if you're not doing what Usyk did, you're not taking away Joshua's jab, you're not closing in the range, you're not keeping Joshua guessing, Joshua will tee off on you. He'll let his hands go free-flowing. And I think Ngannou's lack of a jab is going to be a huge factor for this fight. Now, do I think Ngannou can knock Anthony Joshua out? Yeah, I think he might even rock Anthony Joshua in this fight one time. But I think Anthony Joshua, a lot of people think, I've seen the MMA guru say it, I've seen other MMA creators say it, that Anthony Joshua will box on the back foot, evade Ngannou, jab, play it safe, pick him off with the straight shots and win that way. No. I think the best way for Anthony Joshua to fight Francis Ngannou is to go at him. It's to come in, tight guard, heavy jab, thudding jab to the body, drain Ngannou, make Ngannou work, avoid tying up too much. But again, if they've got a less lenient referee, maybe Anthony Joshua can tie up with Ngannou, the referee breaks him up immediately. You know, maybe that can be Anthony Joshua's breathing space. But Anthony Joshua is very good at ducking, looping shots. If you loop in, you telegraph looping overhands on Anthony Joshua, he's going to duck it, he's going to get under it, and he's going to counter. And Anthony Joshua's far better at shortening up his uppercuts and left hooks and right hooks than Ngannou, who still loops them out a little bit. Look at how he knocked down Tyson Fury. He looped the hook right over the top behind Tyson Fury's equilibrium. I don't think when Ngannou's not using his jab, when Ngannou's not able to get it going, and Anthony Joshua's using his jab more effectively, I think the difference between Tyson Fury's jab, Anthony Joshua's jab, is Fury flicks his, Joshua's is far more thudding. So Ngannou's going to be reacting a lot in this fight, in my opinion. He's not really going to be making too many opportunities for himself. I think he's going to be reacting. I think he's going to get flustered. And I actually think, despite Ngannou having a granite chin, a lot of people are underestimating Anthony Joshua's one-punch knockout power. And I think Anthony Joshua will knock Francis Ngannou out, or stop him at least by TKO. He hits very hard, and I don't think Ngannou can take multiple rounds of punishment. And I think Anthony Joshua is going to go in there aggressive, assertive. Francis Ngannou might rock him because he might catch him coming in. Francis might have success in the clinch, but I think they're going to get broken up in the clinch exchanges a lot by the referee. I think Anthony Joshua's straight punches from a distance and short hooks up close are going to be a huge factor. And I could see there's an instance where both men trade left hooks and Anthony Joshua's is far quicker and shorter compared to Ngannou's looping, and that's what sits Ngannou down in the fight. That's my full prediction, my full breakdown for this fight. Anthony Joshua by TKO. So someone did put in the comments, I forgot the username, I do apologise, but I'll have it up on the screen for you, to go over my UFC 300 potential lineups. Now, the UFC's running out of ideas, aren't they, for this? They really are. I think Stipe versus Tom Aspinall interim championship matchup is a very good fight. Excellent fight. Make that fight. And then maybe you can have Zhang Weili versus Alexa Grasso. There we go. Unification bout. Then maybe you can have Leon versus Bilal. And then maybe you can have a fourth title fight on the card. That's what I was thinking about UFC 300 when people were mentioning it to me on TikTok. I wanted it to be outrageous. I wanted it to be unrealistic. And I wanted it to be a big name card. And it is a big name card. It's got Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. It's got Aljamain Sterling versus Calvin Kattar, which I think is very harsh on Aljamain. I don't think he should have to fight Kattar. Even though he is moving up in the division, I thought he'd already get a number one contender fight. He was the long-reigning bantamweight champion. Why is he having to fight Calvin Kattar? But either way, I think Aljamain Sterling's going to really showcase how suited to that division he is. Because he's a big lad, he's athletic. I think he's going to be very muscly in there, very strong. And in a division full of strikers, and not many superb grapplers, unless Brian Ortega with his jiu-jitsu, but he's not the best wrestler. I think Aljamain Sterling can make a mark on that division. I just don't think he beats Volk, and I don't think he beats Max Holloway, but I think he could beat the rest. Maybe he struggles against Ortega, just stylistically. But we have Yuri Prohaska versus Rakic. Now it's Rakic's time. Yuri's shown a susceptibility to leg kicks. Can Rakic destroy Yuri's legs the same way Alex Pereira did? Obviously, Rakic has good leg kicks. They're not on Alex Pereira's level, and who would expect them to be? But they are powerful. I think Yuri's going to knock Rakic out, though. I think people are going to be surprised. Yuri's got dangerous grappling. I think Rakic plays it a bit too safe on the ground. I think he might get smothered up if he tries anything that way. And on the feet, Rakic is going to get careless. I think he'll hurt Yuri maybe. I think he might stumble Yuri maybe, catch Yuri maybe. But I think overall Rakic is going to get knocked out in that fight. Now, for the rest of the card, what did they make? Well, the UFC haven't announced anything. But if Aljo Keita, Yuri Rakic and Bornico Brundage is on the prelims, that is insane. There's talk of Arman Sayukian versus Charles Oliveira. I'd love for that fight. If that was a prelim fight, that would be insane. But for me, if I was to have it my way, I don't know who I'd put on the main card, but I would have 3 championship fights at least, and then a 4th fight, but as a 5-round fight. So maybe Max Holloway versus Gaethje. Something like that. And then Alexa Grasso versus Zhang Weili. Because you probably got to include the women's fight on there. And that would be an excellent fight. Excellent for women's MMA. Unification bout. 2 of the best pound-for-pound women in the world. You know, you could argue Shevchenko deserves the shot against Grasso, but I would make that fight. You know, maybe Dricus du Plessis dominates Sean Strickland, or vice versa. Sean Strickland dominates Dricus du Plessis. They're fine to go on UFC 300. But they've probably got the card together by then, surely. So it's going to be interesting to see what the UFC do. I personally would have waited with Michael Venom Page and put him versus Wonderboy on that card. But they've not done that. They're doing Michael Venom Page versus Kevin Holland, and that is interesting. But as for what the UFC do, I don't know, because they're running out of options and they need to figure something out soon. Let me know in the comments what you want to see on UFC 300. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou fight. And I shall see you all in the next one. Goodbye.